Warriors, I am so happy to bring back one of my favorites. Don't tell everybody else. Gloria Masters is joining us. I, I think, Gloria, this is episode 3. I've spoken to you more than 3 times, though. We are going over your book, Keeping Kids Safe. Here's my copy. I always keep it handy, and I've got all kinds of things where I'm making marks, like and putting stickers. I got to reread that. I got to share that quote. I've got this book. It's worn out already. It is a roadmap for parents, teachers, and others. Gloria is a beloved warrior of ours. This is her 3rd book. Her memoir on Angel's Wings, My Flight from Trauma to Grace, detailed her 16 years of unparalleled child sexual abuse and trauma, while her 2nd book, Flight Path to Healing, a guide for child sexual abuse, CSA survivors, provided a comprehensive guide for CSA survivors healing from their abuse and trauma. I want everybody. These books are tools that need to be in the classrooms, in your homes. Great gifts, very affordable. We are urging everybody to get this book. This is your number 1 tool for education, raising awareness. Gloria is very special. She openly wants to talk about her trauma, her bravely her story, and share in order to help others and give others a path to healing. And she is the founder, CEO of the charity Handing the Shame Back Foundation. And Gloria, let's do it together. The global hand signal for children to signal they are not safe. Let's do it. And I'm going to have all this information in the body of the video, everybody, so you can be up to date with everything Gloria is doing. Gloria Masters, welcome back to the Warriors.
Oh, wow. Can't believe you're talking about me, Lynn. It's so lovely to be here.
No, I love because you really so bravely share your story. I am always, and I've said this to you before, Gloria, I'm very protective of survivors, of victims. I don't like what I call the dog and pony show, using them to, I see a lot of exploitation. I'll leave that for a minute. So that's why I always say I want you to kind of tell your own story. But the story we need to tell is this, keeping kids safe. And we've been going through the different chapters and discussing things. And today I really want to go, Gloria, you can lead the way, but tools for adults, because I keep getting this question, Gloria, a couple of questions every day. Why is this happening? What can I do?
Okay.
Those are like the 2 things. So, refresh us a little bit with what you want to talk about. And then let's go into that, because I really need people, and I know you want this too, to take action and start. We have to start really digging in, intervening, even if it's a little bit. We need more action.
Well, we do. We don't have the luxury of turning away anymore. And I think for good people out there like your audience, they want to know what to do. Well, here's what to do. Start having conversations about this topic with your friends, with your neighbours, with your colleagues. Why? Because the more we normalise the conversation, the less frightening it is actually, and the more we can actually help save and protect our beautiful children. We've got one shot at this, team. Come on, get in, stand beside. It's uncomfortable, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 3 for me to talk about it. It's uncomfortable for you as the audience, let's say it's a 7 out of 10 to hear my story about child sexual abuse. But I want you now to sit for a moment and magnify that number by 100, 700 times more. Nauseating and frightening for the child going through it. Just breathe that in.
I'm glad you said that, Gloria, because I think in all the discussion, people actually forget. I think they're like normalized to it, or they block it out, but they forget about that actual victim or that child.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something we have to always remind everybody about. So I'm glad you brought that up. Before we started recording, you were filling me in, if you would like to talk about it, what you just were doing with the siblings. Would you like to? Because I think this is something that is not discussed and that we need to discuss. So I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, look, I'm very honoured to be invited to co-host the second Global Sibling 2 across the world Tuesday. And what that meant was we are talking, there's three of us co-hosting, and one from the UK, one from Canada, and myself. And the prevalence of sibling sexual abuse, which is usually an older sibling on a younger sister or brother, is 3 times more prevalent, 3 times, than any other form of intrafamilial, i.e. dad, stepmom, uncle, than it is, for the siblings. So just be aware, we ain't seen nothing yet. This is huge. This is not dealt with. This is not talked about. And shock horror, I'm talking about it.
And thank you for doing that. I want to point out also, you're in New Zealand. I'm here in New York City.
Yeah.
And I'm digressing a bit, Gloria, but I talk about the internet, a lot of bad that's happening, a lot of predation. But I just want to say the internet right now, this is good. It's connecting you and me from across the globe that we can
Yes.
talk and share ideas. So I just want to point out there is a lot of good for the internet. We're
Yes.
not giving it up.
Yeah.
We just want to raise awareness about things that go on and give you some resources and take actions. Gloria, I just posted a story. I think it was last night, actually. It was a man in the UK was directing a child. I think it was the UK, directing a child. It's on my Twitter or Facebook from 4,500 miles away in the United States. And of course, these news articles I find, Gloria, are always like very murky. They're hidden somewhere. They're never like top of everything. He was directing this child from 4,500 miles away how to abuse, I think it was a 2-year-old sibling. I think they said 2-year-old family member. Again, it was like very murky, the details and all of this. And apparently this went on for something like 8 years. This child in the United States is now 18. And 8 years. Now, this man, don't hold me to this. I have to go back and look at the article. I think it was the UK, was just sentenced to life, the one directing this child, to life in no death, a death sentence. And this 18-year-old sentenced to 50 years. But there were no other details. But I kept, what I kept saying to myself? That where was everybody for these 8 years? You've got the 2 kids. Obviously, there's a big age difference. If it started 8 years ago, so he would have been 10 because he's 18 now, the abuser.
Yes.
And they said the child was 2. They said family member. Family member was 2. So 2 and 10 years old. This man was doing it for 8 years and telling this 10-year-old to 18-year-old, film all this. And so the article doesn't go into detail. Obviously, they were putting it up on sites and making money from it. I think sharing it. It is something that needs to really be talked about, since everybody has one of these today and is doing all of this. Oh, Gloria. All right, let's get into some tools for adults. Now, you always say, believe the child, something to that effect. Always, if they're acting out, there's a reason they're acting out.
Yes.
Instead of sweeping it, and we've touched upon this before, but let's go back. Instead of sweeping it under the rug, which most people I find are doing, Gloria, if one more person tells me, Lynn, stop talking about porn on devices because that'll make my child look for it more. I'm like, forget it. They're seeing it anyway, or their
Yes.
friends are showing it to them. We have to be in charge. Tell us, let's talk about parents and guardians today, caregivers. How can we do better, Gloria? How can we train them, help them, empower them?
Well, I think the acceptance that up to 1 in 3 children are being sexually abused, 1 in 3, chances are these adults will know a child that is experiencing this or has. So, number one, it's important as a parent you're equipped emotionally and practically to deal with it, because you don't know when or if you are going to hear that news about either your child or someone within your extended family. Knowing what to do to help prepare yourself and prevent this as much as possible is not just a nice thing to look at, it's actually essential, I think. So that's what this book is, and I don't need anyone to buy anything. but I do want to encourage you to get some tools for this. But there's many ways to start the process. But I think one thing is really, really clear, and that is this: always know who your children are with.
Yes.
It sounds very basic, and I don't mean to tell people how to parent, but always know. Start doing spot checks. What play dates are they going on? Is it essential they have a sleepover? If they really want to, make it at your home. You know, until you have a very clear feeling of safety and a measure of comfort with the adults or older siblings where this child is staying, to me, it could be a risky situation. Remember, the one thing I do want to say in all of this, though, is parents, beautiful parents that you are, please trust your instinct. You out of anyone will know if something is off with your child. How do I know this to be true? Because you could distinguish their cry from others when they were babies. You know, we are attuned. So here's some practical tips, just a couple off the top of my head. Put cameras in your house and garden. Why? So that when you're not there, you can do random spot checks if there's a babysitter there or an older family member. And I'm not saying we should be suspicious of everyone, but I think you need to open some eyes. Also, if you're going out and you come back, you've told a babysitter or again another adult that you're leaving and that you'll be back at a certain time, come back earlier and park down the road and walk around the back of the house and look in the window. Like, start being very protective of your children, as protective as you are of your property, actually. You don't just walk out of the house and leave the door unlocked. And that's how simple that is. When your children are elsewhere, do random spot checks. Now, I know that may not feel welcome, but just call in unexpectedly and have a sweatshirt for them or a $10 or something. Make an excuse. Just turn up. Random. Why? Because we want people to be aware that you are the parent that does not take anything for granted. When children, these are just a couple of practical things, but I think it's important, Lynn, because people don't know what to do. I think you and I have talked about this before, but establish a priority system with your child. If they're in the room with you, it could be your teenager as well, and you have some adults with you and you're having a couple of wines or a bit of a laugh, and your child comes up to you and says priority one, then please drop everything and walk away with them and go and understand what might be going on. And it might be they're saying, Auntie so-and-so keeps wanting to hug me, it feels unsafe, or Uncle Johnny keeps wanting me to sit on his knee and I don't know what to do, I don't like it. So establish a priority system with your beautiful children. Priority one means it's now, they need you now. Priority two is it's important, but it can wait. And priority three is, oh, Mum, can we talk about this when everyone's gone? So we've got to start giving you tools so that you can then teach your children. Repeat after me, Lynn. This book is not for children.
This book is not for children.
This is for you, the parent, the safe adult, the grandparent, to teach your children. We are the gatekeepers. We are the ones who are guarded with protecting and keeping children safe. This is for you to read and assimilate and then teach. So I hope that's helpful. That's a couple of practical tips for parents. Another thing you can do when you're setting safety limits with children, it's so easy. And again, as you know, Lynn, I try to keep it very simple because I want people to grasp it quite quickly. When you're setting safety limits with your kids, use a traffic light system. Red means no, not negotiable. No, you are not going away for the weekend with that person and their family. I don't know them. Yellow means it's possible with conditions. Yes, you may go and hang out there for tonight, but I will be picking you up at 11 p.m. And green means yes, this can happen. You know the family, you're personal friends with them, You've always had a good vibe or instinct about them around your children, not around you. Now, parents, notice the difference. You may think this person's wonderful, but you could be being groomed. So if you have a good vibe, that's great. But here's my final tip for parents, because I don't want to give it all away, Lynn. And that is this. Say to your child, I kind of see Uncle John or John next door as, I'd rate him like an 8 out of 10. I feel quite comfortable. What do you think? And he might say 3. There's a little red flag right there, Lynn. This child is not feeling comfortable around this man. Do not, I repeat, do not allow your child to stay or be in the presence of an adult they don't feel as confident in as you do. Is that helpful?
It's very helpful. And I want to point out this is part 6 of a lot of this in the book, Tools for Adults.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out, Gloria, remind everybody that there's a fantastic, at the end of each chapter part, a checklist.
Yep.
And again, you do make it so simple for everybody to really understand this very difficult, hard subject. But I'm going to disagree with you about something, Gloria. I used to agree with you, but
Yep.
as everything is escalating as we sit here with all of this predation, all of this online, all of this even in real time, I am now telling parents what to do. Now, again, I've always talked about, there's parental autonomy. You can't tell somebody how to, what to do with their child, which is true. I'm going to stick with that part. But because this is so horrific and being allowed to grow and escalate, and people are still saying, despite, even what we talk about, others talk about, organizations, they're still in the dark, that we have to go harder. People have to understand, because I want to remind everybody, these precious children are our future adults, our future leaders. We have this mental health crisis across the globe with children. We have the studies to back all of this up. And we really have to think about, again, we can't tell parents what to do, or caregivers, giving a child a cell phone. We really have to reevaluate. Does a child need a phone before 14? It's your choice, but look what's happening, kind of thing. I also, just to go back, Gloria, there was a story here in the United States. A group of teen girls had a sleepover, and it was a well-known, a father that was loved to one of the girls. Well-known. I think it was 5 girls. And he made them smoothies for their sleepover.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the story. Yeah.
And something about one of the girls thought it tasted funny or something. One of the girls got uncomfortable, called her parents, and it was like 3 a.m. This is a story I read. I don't know if it's the same one you heard. And when they went to pick up their daughter, this father was like, now I don't know, there was no mother in the house. They don't mention any kind of mother or what. He's like, oh no, the girls are sleeping. Just leave them here. Leave them here. And the parents like demand it, like they wanted to pick up their daughter, but he didn't even want to release. And these girls were indeed brought to a hospital. They were all drugged. We don't. And again, this is a news story or a headline I can't get like a lot of information from, other than this little bit of information. There's never this follow-up, which I think would be terrific, to keep warning people. This is going on. This is happening. So it goes to say, I don't know. I'm really down, Gloria, on sleepovers. Number one, I with the work we do, like, who can you really trust? They may look normal. They may be fine, as you pointed out, around us as the adults, but that could be part of the grooming process, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I also don't want other kids in my home, because I'm beginning to think they could accuse me of something, or in our home it happened, right? So I think that's a very kind of thing. We have to point out all of this, that people really have to wake up and look at all these different scenarios that, I hate to be such an alarmist, but I think, Laura, we have to be, because of what is happening with all of this. I know you say the book is for the adults and the parents. And I also think teachers, all educators should be reading this book. No, but I also think grandparents I think it's a
Yeah.
whole, I think it's a whole partnership. Like
Yeah.
it's everybody. Okay. Um, I actually, I almost think like kids in high school, even maybe the parent can have a conversation, like if they have the book in the
Yeah.
house, like, let's look at this together, like some of it, maybe
But
to get the kids to open up a little bit.
yeah, no. So a couple of things. You're going to love me. I don't agree with respect. One, I think if you're a safe parent or grandparent, I'm okay for you to have a sleepover in your home. But I think you can add a couple of conditions to the parents of those children. And that is this: feel free to call in any time. I will encourage your child to reach out to you before they go to bed. If at any time during the night this child is not comfortable, that I will be contacting you. You won't hear from your child. I'll be ringing you. So I don't want to have people so frightened, Lynn, that they don't feel they can't live their lives, because in my mind, there's many more good people like us out there than there are the predators. That's just a point of difference for me. Secondly, the reason I think this book is for parents is because I'm trying to get parents to take some responsibility. I want them to take ownership of this. Parents, grandparents, teachers, safe adults, for those on the front line everywhere, to teach this to children. My concern is if it's just given to children.
No, I don't want to give it to children.
No, but do you spot the difference? I want parents, safe
I
people involved, so they are then standing beside the child in this. It's too easy. We've been too siloed, I think, in this situation. Just an opinion, but if my wish is to get it on, get that hand signal on every billboard across the world. Frankly, let's save some kids.
Well, no, wait a minute, because I agree with everything you're saying. I think Gloria, New York City's getting to me because e- everything is kind of no exploding around us here in New York City. It's like one horrible thing or crime after another. But let me leave that for a second. I just thought maybe like if the book's in the house and the parent is reading it, it might be a way, not giving it to the child or saying, here, you read this and we'll talk about it. To say, oh, I'm reading this book and I'm learning. I'm talking about like a 15, 16, 17, like an older child. I'm learning things I didn't know. Like maybe open up that way because we know the kids aren't talking at all. These teenagers, look at the sextortion. The boys, a lot of them are killing themselves because they're embarrassed. They won't. So I just thought maybe it could be also used maybe like that, never handing it and say, read a book, we'll talk about it or
Yeah,
anything.
no.
But
You
just
know,
try to
I
include.
hear what you're saying. I think, and that's fine. I guess I just don't want to.
Hand it over and then be like, we did something, like somebody
I,
did
I don't
something.
want to. I don't want to frighten children either, because we know that whole frontal lobe thing takes a while. They can't quite compute, or they don't have the cognition to fully comprehend what this is. So let's say very young 15-year-old reads some of this, it might actually be quite
Might
traumatic.
do
I
that.
guess I'm just trying to be a little protective, but happy to not be right about that.
I think you're right. I think you're the expert, Gloria, but I'm
Oh,
just, I'm trying to just throw out like a few
yeah,
scenarios
I get
because
that.
there's part of me that says, as you pointed out, we cannot live in fear. We have to live our lives. We have to go about, we have to be in control. We
Yeah.
have to be the ones
Hmm.
and not give the power away. On the other hand, with all of this predation and horror going on, maybe it's not such a bad thing if kids are seeing things on their phones anyway. If that we do have to put some fear into them. I don't know. It's that slippery slope kind of thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to put fear in your children, but we want them to come to us if they see something, if they're told something, if they're directed, or I I don't know. It's a very, I guess it's kind of a 24-hour a day. You kind of got to be on top of this all the time. I don't. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? Because I don't know how we really do this. It's not good enough to have, one conversation and a parent will say,
The-
well, I did my part. I talked about it. No, this is
well,
like an ongoing process.
it might surprise you, but my next book is a book for children.
Gloria, you waited this long to tell me that?
I haven't actually released it yet. I haven't finished it yet.
No, that's okay. But I think I knew that. Maybe I'm imagining that, or maybe I was going to suggest that you should be writing for children too. But whatever.
I
That is good.
will.
That is good news. I want the first discussion with you about that. And again, we're going to break it down in chapters. First with the warriors. Now, let me ask you how. Okay, 2024. I feel like 2023 was ages ago, a couple of months back. Let's talk about if your child does come to you, or that trusted adult, because you also point out in the book, find a trusted adult, right, to talk to. What should they do? That adult, what do you recommend? We've spoken about it before, but I want everybody to know again, instead of deleting a picture or ignoring that child, or just, we're not going to talk about that in this house. What should somebody do if their child actually tells them, I got this, I'll just use this as an example. I got this nude image. I exchanged a nude image back. Mom, dad, now they're asking me for $2,000. Like, what do you have to say about all this, Gloria?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's all tough, but
It is tough. But look, instinctively, you would just want to put this out there. Parents automatically believe a child when they say they don't feel well. My challenge then becomes, why would you not believe a child if they bring you there? So I think we need to allow allow children and young people the benefit of truth until or unless proven otherwise. So we follow along the path of this child as being honest. Secondly, but probably more importantly, is the child will show us through behaviour what is and what isn't. If your child's coming to you saying this is happening, they're going to be looking a bit traumatized. They're going to be looking a bit shocked. They're going to be feeling quite vulnerable. Trust what you see. We know that children show us through their behaviour rather than what comes out of the mouth. Much more powerful. So those are two things to do immediately. Trust what you hear and trust the child. Now, in any other situation as parents, grandparents, safe adults out there, you would be wrapping that child up in safety, love, and protection. This is equally as important a situation for you to be doing that in. So number one in that section is don't panic. Don't go, oh my God, that's terrible. What are we going to do? You can be doing that on the inside, but on the outside, be like a duck. Okay. Come and sit with me. Come and show me. First of all, are you okay? Do you need like a hot chocolate? Is there, here, get that snuggly blankie. Come and sit real close. I've got you. And that sort of reassuring, affirming. Can you hear how calm my voice is, Lynn? Because we're trying to de-escalate,
yes,
so the child can self-regulate. If we go into panic, which don't get me wrong, you will be as a parent on the inside, and you show that, the child then feels more overwhelmed and unable to provide the information needed. Does that answer your question?
it does, because the reaction is to scream or oh my goodness, or what did you do? I hear that a lot. What did and that child will withdraw.
They're just going to shut down as fast as they can.
So that's why I want to keep talking about this, Gloria, because if we know ahead of time and we keep talking about it, de-escalate. We want to de-escalate the situation.
Well, first of all, we affirm, we assess, and then we can de-escalate. So we just calm everything down. Your child looks into your eyes and reads, was that okay that I just said that? What your eyes need to be reflecting back is, come here, I've got you. I've got you. Thank you for passing it on. I'm all good with it. Yeah. Come and sit by me. Just do anything that comforts your child. And we know sensory things are really good to have. So even parents today, go to, I don't know if you guys still have Walmart or Kmart or whatever, and just buy a cardboard box, a nice looking cardboard box, and buy one of those. They're sort of like old fashioned cush balls that when you squish them,
Squeezy
they
ones?
squeezy ones. Buy something that smells when you rub it. Buy something that the child can do it. You can get a one-handed sort of puzzle thing they can be playing with. You can get little spinning things children can play with. Just something that takes their focus over what is happening. They can release through their five senses. Anything that is sensory related is really important. But they also need permission to know that even though you won't know what you're doing yet, they believe that you do. So they believe when you say, I've got you, here, let me take it from there. I promise you're safe. I promise I'm going to look after you. And let them have who they need to have with them. So, for instance, if law enforcement does get involved, if a teacher gets involved, if another external authority figure gets involved, Lynn, let your child have their best friend with them or nana if that's who they want. We don't suddenly take it off them and isolate them. We allow them to have what will comfort and soothe. Remember, they're going to be spinning. They're going to be frightened. They're going to be traumatized, and they're embarrassed. They won't know what to do. They perhaps went on a site they shouldn't have. So they're going to be a little mindful that you could be cross with them. But that is not the time to discipline. That is not the time to say, what are you doing on that site? Because as Lynn, you said earlier, they're just going to run for the hill. They're going to just withdraw.
Exactly. And they'll never bring up anything again if that's the
No,
reaction. At least that's my experience when I work with people. Well,
yes.
GloriaMasters.com is the website. We've got Handing the Shame Back Foundation. Gloria, I want to quote you here at the end of the book. You say, whose job is it to protect children? She asked. Not mine, said one. Not my problem, said another. The question then becomes, if not you, then who? I love that. Now, conclude with something you want everybody to take away. Anything. It could be keeping kids safe, something about the book, something about you, something about the landscape around the globe, anything you want, Gloria.
The way we treat our children directly impacts what they believe about themselves.
As you said that, I'm thinking about that. Yes.
It is a quote from Ariadne Brill. The way we treat our children directly impacts what they believe about themselves. So if you have
very powerful,
you have a child that comes to you and you don't believe, or you discipline, or you reject, or you threaten, the belief then becomes, I can never do this again. I can never tell this mum or dad or nana or whoever this ever again. And so that's the issue. So the way we treat our children directly impacts what they believe about themselves. So we must learn to treat what we hear with respect, compassion, and calmness.
I love that.
Didn't confuse you.
No, I was very calm. I'm being very calm when you said I very calm because I'm a little, excitable all the time. But Gloria, you have this knack of when I speak to you, you're so soothing, your voice, you're so calm. I just kind of breathe it in, absorb it, and say, what would Gloria do? Because I'm ready to pounce all the time. Well, I'm a warrior. Gloria, we will revisit each other in a couple of weeks. We have a lot always to continuously talk about. I want to say to you, I'm honored to know you. I am thankful that we met. I applaud you. I urge everybody, again, all of your information will be in the body of the video so people can take their time. They can look at the book, your website, your foundation, how they can help, volunteer, donate. People have to remember it's 2024. Gloria, my motto now is everybody needs to do something. You know, we can no longer sit on these sidelines every little bit. I don't care if it's volunteering. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's using your information to educate others, buying the book, giving that as a gift. Everybody needs to do something and step up. And thank you, Gloria, for always sharing your story. When I use the word brave, I mean it, because again, I've never been abused. I've never been trafficked. I feel very lucky. I just want to be a warrior and give voice to your great work and to your story and help you. And I have to say, you are a tremendous warrior. So thank you, Gloria Masters, and we will speak again soon.
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Gloria. Take care.